Okay. Well, I'm married with the two young children. They're 4 and 5. And a while back, I guess about a year and a half ago, I was reading Parallel Universes of Self. And in my personal life, I was just I felt a bit hopeless with my marriage, with my husband. Nothing was right. I'll just, leave it at that. Nothing was right. And so it occurred to me, though, and I kept thinking, there's just someone else out there who gets me. There's a perfect person. My soulmate is out there. And so in my mind, I started going down all of these awfulizing paths, like, okay, we're going to get divorced, and the kids are going to, have to grow up with, 2 separate households, and just everything that comes along with that lifestyle. And
dark thoughts.
Yeah, just really dark thoughts. And it occurred to me that there wasn't a person, a specific person out there that I was looking for. It was the feeling that I needed from that person, whoever that person was.
What gave you that idea? A feeling.
That I needed a feeling?
Versus somebody to be a certain way, right?
I think that I heard it I heard someone share that just in manifesting a life partner, and I thought, well, why can't I do that with my existing partner? Wouldn't it be easier to try to step on or hop onto a parallel reality or onto a timeline where my existing husband or my husband in that as that person exists. So I started visualizing my husband as that person, someone who was respectful, someone who was thoughtful, considerate, who helped with the kids, and there was more even division of duty with helping with the children. And I didn't imagine him as if he were that way. I imagined him being that way in the present now. This is the way he is.
Were you feeling that too?
Absolutely, yes.
So you were feeling it and seeing it?
Yes.
The combination?
Yes,
yeah.
Both, yes. There was high emotion with it in that feeling. And I couldn't believe it, but within days,
Say that again.
Within days.
Days.
The dynamic in our relationship started shifting. And this was nothing that I, gave him a heads up about. Look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I expect. I mean, that wouldn't have worked anyway. I probably would have gone the opposite direction. But it was truly amazing. We've had this pattern in our marriage for 10, 11 years of being a certain way, and it changes within a few days. Now, I'm not saying that I was perfect. I'm sure that I contributed a lot in the way he was behaving. I was probably projecting, or he was probably in many ways responding to my energy. So I wasn't like an angel in this entire scenario, but I knew that in order for him to be the person that I needed to be fulfilled emotionally, I needed to start tapping into that timeline. How do I do that? I start feeling the feeling of him being that way. I start saying in the present, this is who he is.
Wow. And where is it today? A year and a half or so later?
A year and a half or so later, we are much better than we were. It's a much more respectful, considerate, exactly what I had pictured. Now, I will say, there are times where if I mentally or energetically, if I start going down, say to the level 3 or 4 area,
back to the dark thoughts.
I have to be cautious because I can easily slip back into that mindset of the way he used to be, and I make a conscious effort to redirect those thoughts and those intentions and that feeling to get back to where we were, where he was, that dream guy, that husband that I had always wanted.
So how else have you used that technique?
When I was listening to Fred's book, Parallel Universes of Self, on the commute home, one day, there was at a certain point in the book, I hadn't completed it yet, but at a certain point in the book, it clicked that, yes, there are truly infinite realities at this moment of my life. I mean, in the book, Fred talked about, there's a version of you who went to Hollywood, a version who didn't, a version who's rich, poor, neither, both. He went through all of these scenarios, and there was something about the way he described that made me realize that there are infinite number of me's out there. And in the moment, it sounded like common sense. I'm like, why did my parents teach me this? So in that moment, I started thinking, there's a version of me out there who, after we got married, my husband and I got married, remained healthy and stayed active physically, and who was fit and who weighs less than I do right now. And so I said, okay, I'm going to jump on to that timeline. So I mentally thought that, okay, I'm going to step into this timeline vibratorily. I'm just going to be that person. And then I took it a step further and I said to myself, in my head, the version of myself that I'm stepping into is married to the version of my husband who also remained on a healthy lifestyle from after we got married. And after that, the book continued and I forgot about it. I got home, life continued. A few days later, my husband says, out of the blue, "You look like you've lost weight." And I was just like, what? It was so hard. I just didn't understand it because I hadn't consciously done anything differently. And I was just like, wow. So I was really blown away. And then a couple days later, he comes out of the bathroom, which is where the scale is, and he said, "I've lost some weight." He's like, "I haven't even been trying." And then I was like, oh my goodness. Now this is bizarre. This is a little bit strange. And so I thought, okay, maybe it's coincidence. Your mind, the logical mind, tries to step in and start making, logical reasons for why this happened. It's like logical base, I guess, on our physical, what we can see reality. And then a couple days later, he walks into the kitchen and says, "I lost more weight." He's like, "I don't know what's going on. I'm not even doing anything." And he was really proud of himself, even though he wasn't doing anything to do it. And at that point, I started laughing because it was a laugh of I was incredulous. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my goodness, this actually works. And this is my introduction to this entire, I guess, realm of thought, belief, philosophy, everything. Mm-hmm. And so it was just, mind-blowing for me. And what was especially interesting, or what was noteworthy to me about the entire thing, one of the many things that was that I'm really grateful that I discovered Fred's literature before other, champions in the area, other authors who write about reality creation and manifesting, because had I read theirs first, I would think that there has to be this big ceremonious production around, creating a reality. Like you got to find your Zen spot. You have to be in a quiet space. You have to, spend an hour getting there. And I did it while driving.
In Houston?
In Houston, no less, yes.
That's about like saying L.A. or Chicago or something, right? It's like, Houston's traffic is no big deal. Why are you even mentioning it? It's been horrible for 40 years. So it was really amazing. And I remember I remember in my mind thinking, gosh, I really wish I could ask Fred, was that possible, or are these just coincidences, But well, he's right there.
I know.
Just
I'm
ask
like,
him.
oh, wow, it's the real deal.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that was his answer.
So, really, really amazing.
That's what I love about this story is the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
You were driving in gnarly traffic, and you just go, okay, I'm going to create a parallel timeline. I'm going to go jump from here to there. Mm-hmm. That's the whole nature of the book, is that you can jump track, right?
Yes.
And you did.
Yes.
And it worked.
It did.
And then it worked again.
Yes.
And what is your next track that you're going to jump, do you think? Do you have one in mind?
I do. It's,
Can you, and you don't have to share it.
Yeah, I think it's one where I'm sometimes when you share your goal,
Yeah,
it kind of
just
takes
keep it.
away from it.
Yeah, just
But
keep
I
it.
definitely have
You
one
have
in
one.
mind.
Okay, all right. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right, that's so cool. So what is the future of your family, your kids, your life ahead of you with the kinds of things that you've learned this weekend and that at your fingertips?
Gosh, one of the things I'm definitely taking back is that, excuse me, that, when I originally came here, I was uncertain what I was going to get out of it. But when I arrived here, shortly after I arrived, it became very clear that I'm here to focus on my children. My children and a few other things. But what I'll be taking away is that I want to teach them from at the ages they are now, which is 4 and 5, that they are capable, that they're more powerful than, let's see, how do I word this? I want them to know I want all of this for them growing up to be second nature. I want them to, for example, the hands-on healing. I want to go home and say, hey, Mommy went to a class this weekend, and look what I learned. Look what I could do with my hands, and just make it fun and engaging for them. And then also teach them that they can create their own realities and with their belief and their thoughts. And I really, really want to empower them to, again, for all of this to be second nature. I had to unlearn everything that I knew, and I'm still unlearning. And I would like to be able to use this information, everything that we've gleaned from this conference, from the people I've met, and take that back and apply that in my parenting with them.